Have you ever just stopped to think about the universe operating inside of you, right now? It's this incredible, unseen world of trillions of cells, and each one is like a bustling city, all working together to maintain the delicate balance that we call life. So today, we're going to take a journey into that microscopic world to explore the amazing machinery that powers our very existence.
Think about this. In the next minute or so, your body will have destroyed and replaced 150 million of your red blood cells. That's not an accident. It's a precisely managed, continuous process of renewal, and it's happening every single minute of every single day. It's an absolutely mind-boggling number.
You know, every breath you take, every thought that flickers across your mind, your heart beating steadily, none of this is random. It's not chaos. It's a highly regulated state of internal stability, a kind of dynamic equilibrium that is the absolute foundation of our lives. To really understand how our bodies achieve this stability, we have to zoom in. I mean, way in. We need to go from this big picture view of the body down to the microscopic level of its fundamental building blocks, the cells. Because that is where the real magic is happening, in this tiny universe within each and every one of us. And the master concept, the big idea that governs all of this, is called homeostasis. It's the central principle of physiology. Think of it like a constant, relentless effort to keep your internal environment in that perfect, optimal state, no matter what's going on outside. And this delicate balance, it isn't just a general thing. It's meticulously achieved inside every single one of our trillions of cells. So our tour is going to start right at the edge of the cell, at its living border. Now, this isn't just some passive wall. It's an intelligent, dynamic gatekeeper that carefully controls everything that comes in and everything that goes out. It's what maintains that crucial difference between the cell's internal world and the great outdoors. And this is what it looks like. It's called the fluid mosaic model, and it shows us that the membrane isn't some rigid structure. It's actually a flexible, fluid double layer of molecules called phospholipids, kind of like a sea of oil, with all these different proteins just floating around in it like icebergs. And that fluidity, it's absolutely key. It allows the cell to change shape and lets all its components move around and do their jobs. So that lipid bilayer itself has three really critical jobs. One, it forms the basic structure of the cell's boundary. Two, its oily interior creates this pretty tough barrier, stopping water-soluble stuff from just wandering in and out. And three, as we just saw, it's what makes the membrane so fluid and flexible. This very structure is what lets each cell maintain its own unique, stable internal environment. But wait, if it's a barrier, how does the cell get the things it needs? Well, that's where those proteins come in. The proteins embedded in the membrane act like specialized channels and carriers. They are super specific, kind of like a lock and key, letting only certain molecules, like nutrients, come in and letting waste products out. This selective permeability is the absolute essence of the membrane's role in homeostasis.
Okay, now that we get the cell's border, let's venture inside to the cytoplasm. And here we find this incredible industrial hub. It's a sophisticated assembly line that's responsible for making and shipping one of the cell's most vital products, proteins.
Our first stop is the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or just rough ER. It's called rough for a simple reason. Its surface is covered with these tiny little things called ribosomes. You can see them here as the small dark dots. The ribosomes are the actual protein factories, and the rough ER is the giant workshop where all the proteins that need to be shipped out or embedded in a membrane get built.
The journey of just one single protein is this masterpiece of coordination. It all starts with an instruction from the DNA in the nucleus. That message gets read by a ribosome on the rough ER, which builds the protein. The new protein is then folded and tweaked inside the ER before it's packaged up and sent over to the Golgi complex, which is kind of like the cell's post office, for one last modification and sorting before it's shipped off to its final destination. But here's the thing. None of this, not the transport, not the synthesis, not the constant regulation, none of it would be possible without energy, a colossal amount of energy. And that brings us to the cellular power plants, the mighty mitochondria.
You really can't overstate how important mitochondria are. Get this, about 90% of all the energy your cells use just to stay alive and do their jobs is generated right here. Without a constant supply from these little power plants, all cellular activity would just grind to a halt in seconds.
And when you look at one up close, you can see this incredibly intricate inner membrane. It's folded into these complex structures called cristae. What this does is dramatically increase the surface area.
And it's on this huge surface that all the chemical reactions happen that convert energy from the food we eat into a form the cell can actually use.
And that usable form of energy is a molecule called ATP. You can think of ATP as the universal energy currency of the cell. Every single active process we've talked about, from proteins pumping things across the membrane to building new molecules, is powered by the energy that gets released from ATP. Maintaining homeostasis is a really energy-intensive job, and ATP is the fuel that pays all the bills.
All right, now we journey to the very heart of the cell's operations, to the secure vault that holds the master blueprint for this entire incredible enterprise, the nucleus.
Safely enclosed within its own double membrane, the nucleus protects the cell's most precious cargo, its DNA. But this isn't just some passive library of information. Oh no, the nucleus is the command center that directs in exquisite detail everything the cell does, from its daily chores to making a copy of itself.
The DNA itself has two fundamental roles. First, it's the genetic blueprint, and it gets copied perfectly every time a cell divides to ensure that continuity. But second, and this is so critical for homeostasis, it provides the day-to-day instructions for building proteins. It holds the codes for every single protein the cell will ever need, from the enzymes that make reactions happen to the channels in the plasma membrane.
So, as we start to pull back, we can see that a cell isn't just a collection of individual parts. It's a system of truly breathtaking integration. It's a symphony where every single component plays its part in perfect harmony.
From the plasma membrane, standing guard at the border, all the way to the nucleus orchestrating the entire operation, the life of the whole organism, your life, is what emerges from this beautifully coordinated dance of homeostasis, repeated trillions and trillions of times over.
And that brings us to a final, really crucial thought. We've explored the cell as this perfect symphony of balance, where every system works to maintain a stable, life-sustaining state. But what happens when just one of those instruments plays out of tune? Well, when homeostasis gets disrupted, the beautiful music of health can very quickly turn into the chaos of disease. And understanding this symphony, that's the real key to understanding life itself.